Hi, who are you?
Hi, my name is Dan. Just graduated from the University of Illinois with a degree in engineering physics, and I was the team lead for the project Autonomous and Adaptive Docking Under Variable Gravity, which was a student project run by UAUC students.
And your team name?
Our team name is the Moongoons.
And where did that come from?
We were just sort of messing around one day trying to figure out a name, and we settled on that one.
So tell me how you put your team together.
So, to be honest, I knew all of them beforehand, so I didn't really sort of set up an interview process. It was more just we had an idea of sort of what we were going to do, and I just contacted students that I knew were majoring in certain things and were pretty good at them.
So you were looking for people that knew their stuff, and you had specific ideas about which majors? Is that how it?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, it wasn't that thoroughly planned out, but essentially, yes.
Okay. And for the kind of evolution of the project, the first year NASA said no.
That's correct.
So you didn't back down.
Yeah, so I mean, we were really interested in doing it. The first year, I guess, we didn't put enough time in to writing the proposal, and we were definitely lacking a lot of details, and we didn't read over all the documentation that thoroughly. So I guess after doing it once and sort of at the end realizing we probably should add a lot more stuff, we were a lot more prepared the second time around. So that definitely helped.
So one of the things you did in the second time around was put together a much more significant outreach.
That also, yeah, that's true. So I think the most important thing was basically just reading over the specific requirements, which were sort of hard to find. I mean, you know the general idea, but they actually have like specific criteria they're looking for evaluating every proposal. And once you read those documents thoroughly, you know exactly whether or not yours is meeting as many of those as possible. So that's one significant improvement, was writing a good outreach plan, which is actually weighed 30% of the evaluation.
And as team lead, you have to keep everybody on track as well throughout
Yes.
all the deadlines. How did that go?
That was a really big challenge. I guess there weren't that many deadlines, which is sort of what made it challenging, because we had to make our own, and it was difficult to set that up in a way where it would flow smoothly to the end. So we definitely had some relaxed times, and sometimes we were working much harder, such as this week.
And for the equipment, how did UIUC help you?
Definitely. So there was actually a previous team which received basically some funding from the College of Engineering through the James Scholar Program, and we weren't able to secure funding from the same source, but we were able to reuse some of the materials. So that helped due to some of the safety requirements that NASA gives. We were able to reuse basically the large container which enclosed our AR drone. So that helped a lot, and then also we had Professor Woodley in the CS department was a huge help, and he was very confident that it was a good investment for him, and we sort of tried to focus on things where anything we asked him to buy for us, he'd still be able to reuse for other students in the future, such as several AR drones.
So I know you took one drone on the plane, but I hear you had to buy more than that.
Yeah, that's true. So we wanted to have 2 drones altogether, just to have a backup drone. And I guess when we were splitting up work, we realized that we should probably have another one so people can take it home and things like that. And we were having issues with one of the drones, which is why we purchased another one. So we ended up having 4 at the end, I guess.
So it's okay to crash them, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, you don't want to come with just one drone and then if that breaks, like basically we had one break this week, so if we only had one, then that would have just been the end of it.
Right,
so
right.
It's good we had it.
So what was it like being on site and being mentored by NASA engineers?
I mean, it was pretty awesome. They really, they don't directly help you do stuff for your experiment, but they provide you all the resources you need. So as far as the actual hangar, it's just pretty cool to be in there because you're working side by side with airplane engineers. And then, yeah, I guess if we had any questions about the program or anything like that, there's always someone to ask. And we had a mentor who gave us like specific insight based on his experiences.
Such as what? A concrete example?
I guess like I mean, I was sort of familiar with what he talked about, but it helped my team get up to speed. Just sort of understanding the biggest components of the second document which we had to write, which specifies the first thing is a proposal, so it's a little more general. The second one gets to the specifics of exactly what experiments you want to do and all your hardware and everything you bring up to speed. So he was sort of there to help us understand like what we should focus on more, since there's just a lot of information to look at.
Okay. So perhaps you could talk us through the whole kind of flight days, and from the emotions of the night before to that 36 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty stressful for us. We definitely needed to do more testing prior to coming here, but it was just due to everyone's difficult schedule and the complexity of our experiment. We sort of had to just work a lot this week, so this week was not relaxed really. It was just trying to get things together, changing a bunch of things to make it work better, and I guess we weren't really exactly sure what to expect, but we weren't that confident that it would work properly. And some of the issues that arose during the actual flight were things we had foreseen, but we just, by the time we got around to looking at them, it was sort of too late to find the correct parts and such. So, but I mean, yeah, it was very exciting leading up to the actual flight, and I mean, just hoping to get something to work, and just being on the plane in general was pretty cool.
So on that first flight, perhaps you could tell me what happened over those 30 parameters.
Sure. I mean, I'd done it once before, and I sort of thought I would be comfortable again, but it was still like a really cool moment, just waiting for the first parabola, and then it's just like you don't really get like tired of it. I guess it's just really cool every time. So I mean, definitely once again I had to like realize that it's really difficult to maneuver yourself around in that environment, and the focus. Even though I sort of tried to remember from last time certain things, such as how difficult it is to try to do stuff for the experiment, we basically had to do that because we didn't have much success on the first flight.
So I would describe it as 30,000 foot hacking. That you were desperately trying to get things to work at 30,000 feet.
Yeah, basically.
So what was going on?
So as far as what the experiment?
Yes. What were you trying to change at the last minute?
I mean, basically the issue was the entire time our biggest concern was so the air drone had minimum thrust speed, and we were trying to control basically the minimum force, because you don't want the drone just to shoot up really fast. And in 0G there's nothing pulling it back, so we were just very sort of tuning our algorithm to fire as little as possible, fire the thrusters as little as possible, and then what happened was just the friction sort of between our rig, which confined it to 2 dimensions instead of having all degrees of freedom. That ended up just being too strong, so we essentially underestimated the amount of thrust required, and then we were just trying to tune that, but it was just really difficult, and it was really short, so it's sort of unrealistic to do that.
So at the end of the flight, you had some fun with the lunar and the Martian.
Yeah, that's true.
Gravity.
So actually, yeah. So since I guess we didn't really require that in our testing, we sort of just got to play around with it. And yeah, I mean that was a lot of fun. It was a little more fun than the 0G, I thought, because just the limited space and the difficulty to control yourself in 0G. So like lunar, just jumping up and down is a ton of fun.
So what would you say to students that are, say, thinking about an engineering degree or some sort of science degree, say computer science, but are just about, say, join UIC for the first time, so they might be thinking about becoming freshmen next year? What advice would you have?
I mean, definitely doing something like this really gives you an experience you won't get just by doing your classes. I mean, in some of your more advanced classes, you'll get project work, and it'll be sort of closer than just doing one MP at a time or one assignment at a time. But doing something like this really makes you look at the big picture. It involves just a ton of planning, ton of work. You're prepared to work in the environment that you would basically be working at as a full-time employee. So I would highly recommend that anyone who's thinking about being an engineer involved in some kind of project, which sort of gives you the opportunity to start at nothing and just progress all the way to a finished product. Whether it's an experiment or just engineering competition, it's a great experience.
And what have you personally got out of this whole experience?
I mean, probably one of the main things is, I guess, the difficulty of actually managing. Like, it's something you don't really get from an engineering degree. So it's just a lot of, it seems like intuitive, but just dealing with different people and just all the sorts of issues that come up and trying to understand how long things are going to take, it's very challenging. So that was one of the most useful things. Also, I guess, just all the documentation and sort of the behind the scenes work that goes in. Sort of take that for granted when someone else is doing it. It's like, oh, well, he just has to meet with him or something like that, but it really takes a toll on your time. So I guess probably time management and sort of looking at the big picture in general was what I got out of it the most.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks.